The number one thing for us is fast turnaround. I need to get 50 to 100 images to my client within an hour of the show. For me, it's extremely fast editing. It's knowing how to pick photos, knowing which ones are the money shots, knowing which shots are going to get the most engagement. That's what's really important in my job. I'm really focused on those deliverables and getting them out straight after the show. Hi there, my name is Grace Hunder, and today we're in my studio in Footscray. I've been here for a couple of months, so I'm really excited to be shooting this from here. I'm a professional music photographer. I've been working in the industry for about 13 years. I do artist press shots, album covers, and I also do concerts, so live music work as well. I just went on tour with the artist Rule, who's a young Australian music artist. For 6 weeks around America, we did 26 shows, and I was using the new Nikon Z8. I was very excited to use the Z8 because I got it in my hot little hands the day it was actually released. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be as impressed as I actually was. Last time we spoke, I was talking about some of the features. I had it in my hands and I noticed that it was actually a lot bigger, a lot heavier than the Z6 II that I'm used to using. So I was a little bit nervous and yeah, I was just interested to see how I would find it on the road. I'm pleased to report that I was extremely impressed, and there's some really amazing features on there that I think take specifically music photography to the next level. I think with the weight and the size, originally, I always think about, I guess, my travel pack. So what I'm traveling with, I like to travel light. I like to travel with the least gear possible, which is, I know, counterintuitive to a lot of photographers, but I do like to travel with what is the least amount of things I'm going to need on this tour. The weight already, I was like, okay, it's definitely bigger than I'm used to. Very much like similar to my D3 that I used to own, not quite as big, but back to that kind of bulkier size. Yeah, I guess I was wondering if I would like going back to that type of size when I was used to the smaller, more compact size. I do like shooting lighter, but I have to admit, after a few weeks using it, I did fall in love with it, and I did find it really molds to your hand really nicely. It really felt like an extension of myself, where I would admit now when I go back to the Z6 II, it is smaller and lighter and does feel like kind of like a little bit of a toy. When you've got the Z8 in your hands, you're like, all right, I'm a serious photographer. I was just really impressed by the ergonomics and just how good it feels in your hands. So here we've got my Rolling Stone cover featuring Amy Shark. Very proud of this photo shoot actually. So the shoot was in Sydney. So myself and my assistant flew up to Sydney for this particular shoot. We only had 4 hours to shoot on the day. There was a lot of time that went into hair and makeup and prep. We actually worked out that I think the shoot time on set for myself was about 45 minutes. So to get 5 looks. You talk about high pressure situations, that's a high pressure situation. We nailed it. We got a great shot. Weight wise, it really was negligible after a few weeks. I really didn't notice that it was that much heavier. Initially, it was a point that I noted, but now on reflection and having to actually use it for a few weeks, it hasn't made that much difference. This tour, I used the 24-70 f4, which I mentioned last time, and a lot of people were shock and horror about me using the f4 on tour. It's the lens that I love. I also took the 14-30 on this particular tour, the f4. I liked having the wider option for the bigger shows as well. There's also a perspective that I hadn't ever shot before that I really wanted to try. When you're shooting in the pit and you've got the 14-30, there's a great shot where you can actually get Rule and the people in the front row in the same shot. And it's a really beautiful perspective that I hadn't really tried before. So I was doing a lot of that this particular tour, as well as showing some of the really beautiful theatre venues that we were playing in. You could really get the whole perspective of what that looked like with that slightly wider lens. I was really impressed with the performance of that lens, and it's something I'll definitely add to when I'm shooting concerts in the future. I also took the 85, which I found I didn't use really at all. If I had my time again, I probably would have taken a slightly longer lens. So maybe I've got a 135. I would have taken something like that. I didn't overly need it that much, to be honest, but just to get some tighter portraits would have been a nice option sometimes, I think. I had a 50mm, which I always take a 50mm in the bag anyway, just in case we're running around, or, you know, we might just take some portraits out and about on a day off, for example, or even if we have a day off and we want to shoot some stuff, it's always just great to have a 50mm. Other than that, the 24-70 is such a great all-round lens for these types of venues up to about, you know, some of the venues went up to 4,000. If you were starting to look at bigger venues, arenas or smaller arenas, I would definitely need a 70-200, which I didn't take on this tour at all. It just wasn't really necessary. So, and I like to travel light. I'm definitely excited to hear if there's a 135Z lens, so I would definitely add that to my kit for sure. Hi there, welcome to my studio. Come on in. This is our client area where clients can relax, they can chill out, they can watch TV, can prepare. So we've got a hair and makeup space over here, which is really great. We've got this little LED panel. The hair and makeup artist can work from this station. We have just a lot of space here for styling and getting out all the outfits. We can pop them on the table and get prepared for the shoot. Change room, bathrooms down there. I did end up taking a backup body, which was my Z6 II. I didn't have to use it at all, which was great. I just thought, just in case I run into problems or, you know, I was finding it too complicated to use or something like that, just always good to have. Like I said, didn't end up using it all. Sometimes when I'm here, I like to shoot with two bodies. And actually, I think I might have shot with two bodies at the LA show, which is one of the bigger shows. So I actually do think I was shooting with the 14-30 and my 24-70, actually having two bodies for those shows. Generally, some of the smaller shows, I feel like I can cover it. If I need to do a lens swap, I've got like a great pouch just to pop an extra lens in it. It's not too much problem. I'm not shooting just 3 songs. I'm shooting the whole set. I have a lot of time. If I was just shooting 3 songs, then I think there's a good argument to say, yes, you would need 2 bodies. You've got to cover a lot in a very short period of time. I've got, an hour and 10 minutes to shoot. I've got a lot of time to swap lenses and stuff like that. Like, again, I like to shoot lighter, preserve my back, preserve my body for long term. So if I can shoot with one body, I will. Here is my husband's editing suite. He shoots a lot of sports video. He cuts on Avid, and we're actually working on a little feature for Rolling Stone magazine at the moment, so that's exciting. My little workstation, this is where I edit from, where all the magic happens, as they say. One of our features are these basketball planters. My husband and I met playing basketball, so the basketball is very close to our hearts, and everyone always comments on these when they come through. The good thing about when I got the Z8 in my hands was it felt so familiar. So I didn't have any issues using it because it literally just felt like I was using the Z6 II. The menu was very familiar to me. There are some changes, but in terms of what I needed to use, it just felt like another Nikon camera, which I'm always grateful for. Like I said, I'm not big on the tech. I'm not like going through the menus, intricately searching for things. So as long as things are intuitively where I want them to be, then I'm happy. And that's very much the case with the Z8. The immediate thing that I noticed with the Z8 that made it, I guess, the most superior camera that I've used for live music is the 3D autofocus tracking. When I was in New York, I got to meet up with the US ambassador, Todd Oyong, who is a music photographer, a really good friend of mine. And I had been using, obviously, the autofocus up until that point, but he told me his settings and helped me switch over to the 3D, the face tracking. And from that point on, I can tell you right now, I did not miss a shot. It just sticks to the person and it just follows them around, doesn't matter where they go. You can recompose, it's still just tracking the person. And I found I literally just didn't miss a shot. I felt like it was almost cheating. It made it that much easier. Rule was actually jumping in the air with his guitar. He does that pretty much every show. Sometimes you might miss that shot, or if the light wasn't great, you might have just slightly missed the focus. It just made it impossible to miss. It's like as soon as I locked onto him, when he jumped, I just recomposed, pressed the button, and it hit it every single time. And I was just blown away by that capacity. So that functionality alone made me want the Z8. I want that camera in my arsenal forever. This is our cyclorama that we built purpose-built for us. It's 3 meters by 5 meters. Lovely L-shaped cyc. Needs to be repainted at the moment. We just had a workshop with 30 people over the weekend, so it's quite dirty, but yeah, it's really great. It's really shoot like a lot of variety in this. I found it to be very inspiring to be in this space. Able to shoot natural light in here, which is really great. So we can just bring these curtains all the way over, has these beautiful natural light, or obviously if we need to close it. These are fully soundproof as well. Yeah, we've really found this to be very versatile, and the types of things that you can shoot in here is options are kind of endless, which is really great. In terms of the ISO, I was wondering what the capabilities were going to be like in terms of the Z6 II. I didn't notice a huge difference in terms of the final result of my photos, so I'm not sure if that was just a post-processing thing and how I treat the images, but I definitely felt like they kind of handled things similarly. I know that the Z8 is probably meant to have better capabilities in that regard, but in terms of what I'm shooting, I didn't really notice a huge difference. When I'm shooting live music, I shoot up to about maybe 6400, but around 3200 is about normal. If I can get away with 2000, that would be great. But for most of the venues, I would be sitting around 3200. I have no issues with that whatsoever. You really can't notice it in terms of the end result. And if there was any issues, I would kind of lean into it when I'm grading anyway and make it part of, you know, the type of image that I'm creating. I've never had any issues with the ISO since I went mirrorless, to be honest. If you're thinking about the deliverables for live music as well, the majority of what our clients want is fast turnaround and stuff that's going on social media straight away. They're looking at images that are literally this big. A lot of people that get really hung up on these types of really technical things is the ISO, is it too grainy? You're not going to notice with social media anyway. The other thing I would say with Lightroom, there's such incredible new technology in terms of denoising. If there was an image that someone selected and they needed to get it blown up really big, or it was for a print, or it was for an album cover, I know that I'm going to be able to use these types of denoising capabilities now, and it's not going to be an issue. So if I do need to push it a little bit, it's totally not a problem. And for us, we're always thinking about the client. If the client is happy, then we're happy. The number one thing for us is fast turnaround. I need to get 50 to 100 images to my client within an hour of the show. So for me, it's extremely fast editing. It's knowing how to pick photos, knowing which ones are the money shots, knowing which shots are going to get the most engagement. That's what's really important in my job. I'm really focused on those deliverables and getting them out straight after the show. This is the 50th anniversary limited edition Mamiya 645. It is snakeskin and gold print, as you'll see. It's got the 80mm on it, beautiful, beautiful lens. I also have the RB67, which is a bigger version of this as well. It looks exactly the same, but it's just bigger. I just found it was like less practical for traveling and things like that, but beautiful, beautiful camera. So stoked that I started shooting medium format film probably about 4 years ago now. Yeah, it's my little baby. You can see that obviously the gold trim and the snake print. It's like such a beautiful, beautiful camera. And the images are also stunning. I guess in summary, my experience with the Z8 was that I was definitely really impressed. I definitely want one to add to my kit and something that I want to use long term. I'm excited to see the capabilities of what I can do in studio as well. So I've only done a little bit of that over the last week or so since I've been back, but really pushing it and seeing the capabilities for the work that I do in the studio. And yeah, now that I'm back from tour, it's been great to reflect on what an amazing time that was. We have such a beautiful tour family. A lot of us have been touring together for 7 years. It's been great to work with Rule again and create such beautiful imagery. We have a really, really great relationship. And, you know, when you're on the road, it's extremely demanding. And you're living in a bus and with, 10 other people, and the reality of what tour life can be, it's quite grueling. You're away from your family, you're away from your loved ones, you're away from your friends. Your tour party becomes your family, and we become very, very close. And night in, night out, you're doing another show, and sometimes it can be a little bit like Groundhog Day. And I guess the saving grace is that we get along really well, and we get to a new city and we can experience a little bit of that city before moving on. Yeah, it's a very interesting way to live. I don't think it's for everyone. I think now, the older that I'm getting, I'm actually really grateful that I'm still able to do this and see the world this way and experience so many people and places and food and all the things you get to do with travel. Yeah, I just feel very grateful on reflection. I think a great point to touch on is I was constantly talking about how heavy my gear is and what I like to take when I travel. And I guess one of the points I want to note is that I am 44 years of age now. I am getting older. I do want to be doing this for as many years as I can. So those things are front of mind to me because I want to save my body. I've got friends that are older photographers that have been professionals for 30, 40 years. And one thing that they're really noticing is that their body is really failing them. What we do is physical. And I guess the lighter my pack can be, the less weight that I have on my body at any time is just going to mean that I could do this for longer. So I know it's very counterintuitive to some people. They're just like, they want to take everything and they want to be super well prepared. But I think I've been doing this for long enough now that I know all the realms of possibility that are going to happen on tour. I can be very practical in going, okay, what do I actually need? Because I think the first few tours, I definitely took too much gear and I'm not using all of these lenses, not using all of these bodies, you know. I think very practically now and I'm thinking long term. It's definitely front of mind to be like, okay, what do I actually need? What's going to be preserving my body long term? And also what's going to be getting the best results? It's actually really awesome being a Z creator. I've been with the Nikon brand now for around, I think it's 3.5, nearly 4 years. I've been a Nikon shooter my entire career, but it's really great being able to show what the capabilities of the Z cameras are. I absolutely fell in love with mirrorless. The first time I had one in my hands, I was totally sold and I knew that it was going to be the future for me. I'm also really passionate about letting other music photographers know that the capabilities of the Z mirrorless are just so superior. I saw such a huge improvement in my own work when I went mirrorless as well. You know, I love being very authentic with anything that I'm talking about and anything that I'm promoting, and I'm so passionate about the Z mirrorless series that it just kind of works really well. I think I just, you know, very genuinely love these products and talking about them. Yeah, I just love telling other people about the capabilities and then showing the results that I'm getting as well. Because I think the proof is very much in the pudding. It's like we can talk about this stuff all day, but what do the photos look like? What are the results that you're getting? And are the clients happy? They're the three things that I think are most important. So we've just moved into this studio. It's called Gottneck Studios. It's in Footscray. Like I said, it's a space that I have with my husband. We are doing dry hires of this particular space as well. So if you are a photographer or a videographer, even if you do podcasts, we have this available space for you to come in and shoot. And our times and days are really flexible as well. So you can even shoot weekends if you need. If anybody is interested in that, you can contact me for that as well. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my little review of the Z8 and using it on tour for the last 5 or 6 weeks. And if you want to follow me, here's some social links.
Well, thank you everybody for watching this amazing episode all about Michelle Grace Hunder. I want to say a massive thank you to her for allowing us a tour of her amazing new studio, but even a larger thank you for sharing the amazing images from the tour with Rule shot on the Z8. Michelle genuinely is a rock star photographer to the rock stars. She's also a Nikon Creator, which does segue over nicely to this exciting news that I want to share about the channel. And that is, I now have a shopping code that you can use on nikon.com.au. And what this code does is it allows you to get 10% off purchases up to the value of $10,000. That means $1,000 off if you spend that much. Amazing. Now this doesn't just work once, it just keeps working. So you can jump to nikon.com.au, purchase whatever you want to purchase, and you will get 10% off by using the code MAT10. All right, thanks again. It's been so good to see you, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.